अनंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। रामाचार्य देश कहो चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री वासादि गौर So my obeisance is to all the assembled Vaishnavas, offline and online. by hundreds and thousands of Bodhisattvas to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, His sincere followers, and our glory of the Lord. May all the words that emanate from my mouth be pleasing to all the assembled Vaishnavas and also to the glory of the Lord. So I see your Hare. So, one of the most important things in our sadhana as Vaidhi Bhakti, and even later on, when we are fortunate to enter Radha, the songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas in our body and life are extremely. When we are bowing down to His divine graces, what are we actually reciting besides the pranam mantra? The mood of prayers is very. Shri yesterday, Sunday, at Shishalikuram, ISKCON, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there was first canto, 7th chapter, verse number 26. Sri Prabhupada mentioned in the very short one that Arjuna actually is very afraid because Ashwadama, while chasing Ashwadama, after Ashwadama had brutally killed the sons, the 5 sons of Draupadi, Ashwadama ran away after that heinous crime. And Arjun promised that he will take full revenge and he will cut the head of Ashwadama and bring it to Draupadi, and then he will wipe her tears. And so he decided to chase the running Ashwadama, who mounted his chariot, and with full speed he fled. Maybe we can close those doors. Is it possible? Or even the windows are open. So thank you. And I would appreciate it if you all can check your phone. Thank you so much. So he fled at full speed, but Arjun was chasing him. And when Arjun was chasing, Arjun was very fast. And the horses of Ashwadama's chariot were very tight. And Arjun was almost going to catch up. And at that time, Ashwadama had a benediction that he had received the Brahmastra. So what he did is he invoked the Brahmastra. And the moment he invoked it, it is a nuclear weapon, Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Very subtle nuclear weapon. Nowadays, the nuclear weapons are gross. It is a combination of many radioactive elements, like enriched uranium, etc., plutonium. And when the atomic structure of matter is broken, a lot of heat and light is generated because the Paramatma is forced out. If you all who have studied science, even in school, we study the structure of the atom is the nucleus, protons, and electrons. And their revolution is at extremely high speed of those electrons and protons. So within the nucleus resides Paramatma. That verse is there in Brahma Samhita. Anda, Anucha, Yantamasta. In every atom, he is present. The Lord as the Paramatma teacher. So when the Lord is forced out due to the demoniac action of breaking the structure of the atom, Just like I like to give this example of somebody, some Buddhas, some believers come into our home and they
Hare Krishna Prabhu, no audio at all.
either material or transcendental. But before asking for that, His Divine Grace Prabhupada says we should offer. If we examine ourselves when we are in front of our Srila Prabhupada and other Acharyas, when we bow down, the pranayama we sometimes or mostly we speak it, narrate or recite it very mechanically. And we're offering some wonderful prayers. And honestly, we are like little children. We do not know even how to pray, even in front of the deities. What is our mood? Besides just reading darshan with our eyes. It is good. It is also transcendent. But when we offer our Acharyas prayers, and how do we offer them? We offer them this way, we offer the Ganges water when we are worshipping the Ganges. We offer as water to the Ganga or the Jamuna or any of the holy. So similarly, our offerings should be of that type that we offer such prayers. And we can offer the same prayers that they have composed to them. Because they are not ordinary personalities. Before I even go into the budget, I would like to lay a foundation. And that is why in Mangalarti, it is mentioned in the second verse, Mahaprabhu Kirtan Kirtan Aditya Manusmriti. But the first line, Mahaprabhu Kirtan in the bhajan, Vaishnava Prabhu Thakur, in the book called Sharanagati, in the fifth section of Sharanagati Govinds, Krishna Radha Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Jai, Krishna Bhakti the Pavan Nityam, all the notions which are the Bhakti Thakur says, which is commonly also known as our Gauri Sampradaya, the Ekadashi Bhajan, Shuddha Bhakata Sharanare Bhajane. In the bhajan, is a very specific line that kind of connects to this subject matter. Gauravi Kirtan Suni Hridaya Ananda. So we should all hear bhajans and kirtans or sing those that are by Chaitanya, that gives pleasure to Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu means his most intimate associates are included. Like Prabhupada has mentioned, so Prabhupada has mentioned many a time that when we say Krishna, it means it is just like the president or prime minister. If he's traveling somewhere, going somewhere, it means all his intimate associates, his ministers and advisors, his security person, they're all present. Krishna is never come. Similarly, Mahaprabhu is never. So here the theme is that we should sing those Vaishnava kirtans and bhajans that are good. And that is why in ISKCON, we only sing those. Many Vaishnava Sampradayas are there. They're modified in their respective ways. But why is it that we do not sing those songs? For example, Meera, she is also considered a pure. Many years ago, I used to sing what maybe 25 years ago some Meera bhajans, in home programs and stuff. But then, after I felt by the mercy of Sri Guru and Guru, really, still have a glory of God. That whose phone is crying? Please put it on silent. Hari Nam, Hari Ru, Hari Katha, Hari Nam. They are not different. Now, Chaitanya Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Vasudeva, Purna Shuddha, Abhinna. So we should respect. Unless we do not show their honor or their great respect to Krishna, then all the time, the katha that is being spoken is not different. It is Sri Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is Sri Krishna. Bhagavata is Sri Krishna. Vaishnava Acharyas bhajans are Sri Krishna, not different. So keep that in mind. Almost 5 minutes I'm spending on every time. In North America also, 95%, 98% are Indian body devotees. And it's so unfortunate that they let their children loose in the aisle and play. They sit in the back and talk when nice kirtan is for the pleasure of Shri Ramakrishna Gaur Nityam for the deities of Sevaya. Sanatana Dharma has so many wonderful qualities. Unfortunately, it has degraded so much even before 428,000 years elapsed. I don't know what happened. But what will happen in the next 20, 30 years or so? It is going to be an eye-opener if we do not properly respect others. They say Hindus are sentimental idiots. They don't know anything about their own faith. That is what divine Krishna got the 7 principles or the foundation, the fundamentals of ISKCON is to systematically preach and propagate Krishna consciousness. And ISKCON is the only temple in the entire creation that is preaching so much. There are so many other institutions, but not as much as ISKCON is doing. And we are getting this education free. If you have to put your children in some nice private schools, it costs them. When they grow up, they go to some nice colleges. You have to pay a lot of money. And then further education, they go to the Western countries like US. It costs lakhs, crores of dollars. But here, such a biggest science, Vigyan, is being given freely. Sometimes we don't value it. We should show that respect, otherwise history will repeat. 20, 30 years down the road, our children, the Hinduism will become, Sanatana Dharma will become very, very minute. And the other faiths will take over. And then they will forcefully convert like what happened when the Mughals came. They desecrated our temples, they broke our deities. They put the scale in the temple like we have the Tulsa that we do for Bhagavata. They put the content deities, the broken lotus arms, legs, nakshatra. On one side of the scale, on the other side, they put rotten mutton, gomas, and they put it right there in the temple. They urinated in our temples. They cut the shields of all the Brahmins and Vaishnavas. And they all forcefully converted them by beating them into accepting Islam. Few hundred years later came the British. And they broke the backbone of our Dharma, which is they knew that it is very difficult for them to take over India if on the strength of Sanatana Dharma they will remain united. So they found out what is the best way to kill India or the spirit in the Indians is to break Sanatana. And they did it very successfully. I still remember when I was educated, although grew up in a very, very medium class family, my parents, they really had to struggle for everything. But they put us, meaning me and my siblings, in some of the best schools. They were convents. And at that time, there was no ICSE. It came later on in my last 2 years. But prior to that, it was IS. Very, very special school. Our English papers used to come from Oxford, England. And they used to go there for collection. And all our administrators, principal, vice principal, etc., they were from Spain. The fathers were Westerners. And the books that we studied on history, geography, they were all written by English historians. And they distorted our Indian history. They said in there, I still remember very clearly, distinctly, Ramayana and Bhagavata is mythology. In Latin, myth means imagination. So, with Ramayana, Bhagavata, and today also, that is being taught by the school boards, they have not changed. Even the TV reporters, I heard during Jagannath Rath Yatra, the English commentator said the mythological Lord Jagannath. See, so much degradation. That's why Srila Prabhupada gave us this education so many times. I was always interested in philosophy right from my child. And I read different faiths, different books, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, different. And they were all in English. But when I got my first year of Prabhupada's book, I was shocked to hear this statement. Supreme personality of nobody had ever written something like that. Person. It's like you and I are persons. Those are very unfortunate who have this Mayavad kind of mentality that I'm God, you are God, we are all. Aham Brahmasmi Soham, Satcitananda Rupam Shivoham, Shivoham. That is their philosophy. But the Vaishnavas say that we are all servants of Krishna here also, and when we reach the eternal sky, into the various different Vaikuntha planets of Bhagavata. This does not sound as appealing to those who say that you are God, you are God. That sounds more appealing. That's why the cheap stuff sells faster. And the most expensive stuff, only the few can afford. And therefore, we are so fortunate that we have somehow or the other, due to our maybe past sukriti or karma, we have come to this Gaudiya Vaishnava. And I'm going to say, in this Gaudiya Vaishnava life, in the Vaishnava life, there are many modifiers. But if we are very perfect Gaudiya Vaishnavas in the line of thinking, we only say those words and kirtans and prayers that are composed by Acharyas. All prayers that are exactly in the mood of the Gaudiya. So we accept the prayers as an example of King Kulashekar, Mukunda Manas, the Anwar, Dakshina. That is perfect. And there are some other Vaishnavas who may not be in the Gaudiya line, but their thought process, their Siddhanta is exactly what the Rupanugas have accepted. So, Mirabai is perfect in her own way, but her bhav is mere Girdhar Gopal Duja na koi, dusra. So, in that line, many times we find that it is opposite when it comes to the Gaudiya Siddhanta. Most of us in Islam, when I go to many temples all over the world, and I ask this question, and which I will write it is not a test, my dear devotees. Just a genuine attempt to answer this question is good enough. Just I give the example that when a little child is just learning to run, walk, and the child falls down many times. But in the process of seeing the child trying to walk, the parents are very happy. Look, our child has almost started walking. That great feeling is there. Similarly, when we make a genuine attempt, right or wrong, doesn't matter. Krishna looks at that. So my question is, what is our ultimate goal of Gaudiya Vaishnava? Please, there might be more than one answer. Very happy to hear from you. Please raise your hands. Again, don't feel shy, don't feel that, this is some kind of a test or there will be any criticism from any corner. Just like I always say, when I'm kind of, highlighting this point, that when we are standing outside some college and there is some students going in and out, we catch one student and we ask him, my dear student, what are you studying? So immediately he say, I'm studying chemical engineering. Another student you catch, immediately he will say, I'm studying mechanical engineering, etc. He knows what subject he is studying, although he is not fully graduated. So similarly, what is our subject matter for the ultimate goal, which is also what is prayojan in our Gaudiya life? Any devotees would like to simply, maybe just one line answer, nothing very complicated, and loudly, because I may not be able to hear you. Yes, Mataji? Loudly? Very nice. I really like that answer. Now, from that answer, second question arises. What is the mood of our Acharyas? Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, that is one of them. That's also a good answer. Acceptable. But I want to hear more. Yes, Prabhuji. Huh? So Krishna is the mood of Shakti. No, that's wrong. You almost said it correctly. That we cannot get to mood of Shakti. Not possible. Not possible. Radharani, by the way, since you brought it up, we all know there are 5 rases: Shan Ras, Dasi Ras, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Madhurya Ras. So Madhurya Ras, yes. But in Madhurya Ras, all the gopis and the manjaris of Nana, they can get that prema in Madhurya Rasa. And there are many delineations of that prema. There is pranaya, mana, different kinds of delineation, etc. And in between there is many. Because of the time constraint, I will not speak on those. But the highest one can get in Raj is Mahabharata in the Gopi movie. And that will make the Swapaksha Gopi. Gopis are also 4 types: Swapaksha, Vipaksha, Suru, and the 4th one is Tapasya. There are 4 general categories of gopis in Vrindavan. So all the gopis that are in Srimati Radharani's camp and who serve Srimati Radharani like her own self, with body, mind, words, everything, is known as Swapaksha Gopi, my Radharani's own. So coming back to the example of Mirabai, she's not Swapaksha, she's Vipaksha. Vipaksha means opposite. And other examples are Chandramani, Shailya, Padma. They keep Krishna away from Srimati Radha. So they are Vipaksha, opposite camp. And in the other 2 camps are almost similar. Surud means well wishes to both the sides, and Tatastha means neutral. Neutral to both the camps. And one of the examples of such is Yamuna Devi, the river Yamuna, Yamune Mata. So she is neutral to both the camps. Anyways, so the question here is then what is the mood of our Acharyas? Yes, Prabhuji?
This is Srimati Radharani in her service to Krishna.
Very nice. Getting much, much better. The answers are getting condensed. Just like all the answers are good. Milk is good. Slow play, you put it, then it becomes thicker. And then it becomes more thicker, like rabdi, the milk. And then even more thicker comes, I'm waiting for that answer, that becomes like barfi. Yes, Prabhuji? Serving in the mood of separation. Very nice. That is also acceptable, Prabhuji. So these are all excellent answers, but there's still one final answer. That yes, Prabhuji? Very nice. So who is that movie? Huh? Lovely. You know, it's difficult to hear because it's a big one. Who is Gopi? Vrindavan Krishna. Very nice. But also the inner meaning, which is now I'm going to, we have already tasted milk from many, many different waters here. Then we tasted some kheer, more condensed milk. Then we tasted some rabdi. And now let's try to taste some barfi. Hoya, mawa. So that Gopi Vardhu means, from that perspective, is the Manjari. Dasam Dasi, Dasyam Dasi, Dasyam Dasi. That is what it is. And Ada Dasyam is the ultimate goal of Krishna. Krishna comes second. But in Vaidhi Bhakti, it's all right. We are there, any mood we can serve initially in Vaidhi Bhakti, even Laddu Gopal, etc. But there should come a point exclusively. It is Radha and Krishna in Madhurya. That is the Laddu Bhakti that our Shri is waiting to give us. If we perform our Vaidhi Bhakti perfectly, then the doors will Chakshudara Vidojani Janme Janme Prabhu say Divya Gyan Hriday Prakash. So our Rup Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, the 6th Goswami, the entire our Gaudiya line is just waiting for us to receive that Radha. Very important. See, His Divine Prabhu said that if you chant minimum how many rounds? How many? Wrong. Minimum 16 good rounds. The part we miss is 16 good rounds. And you follow the four regulative principles, you will go home back to that. Godhead is very in this very life. He did not say good. They have to be very Prabhupada's words are too much. Or Acharyas, whatever they speak. Yes, we can go to Guru. Unless and until we do not enter Raghavata Bhakti, we will not be able to enter. And Raghavata Bhakti is possible after perfect following the rules and regulations of Vedic Bhakti, and then it will happen. It is not that Raghavata Bhakti we will have classes on that, like Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaishnava, Bhakti Vedanta. There are no classes. It will just happen when the special Kripa will be able to catch. Kripa is always there. Sometimes devotees say, please give me Kripa. No. Kripa of the Acharyas is always there. Like Prabhupada said, that it is exactly like the sunshine, or the sunlight, or the sun. It equally distributes everywhere on the land, on the seas, on the lakes, on the rivers, everywhere, on the valleys. But what can the sun do if somebody doesn't want to come out of the dark room? Similarly, the Acharyas' Kripa is always there. But what to do if we do not accept it? Like supposing a simple example. If I'm thirsty, you give me a glass of water. But what if I extend my hand and catch it? Water is there, but I'm not able to catch it, or I'm not willing to catch it. So, Radha Dasya is the ultimate. And this is not an informational matter. Not that after this class, either I have become a Raghavata Bhakta or you all will become. No. That's why Srila Prabhupada said meticulously study Bhagavad Gita. After that, study Srimad Bhagavatam first 9 cantos. Then enter into the 10th canto. Then we will be able to really understand that properly. And especially hearing from Varishta Vaishnavas. Studying Srimad Bhagavatam, studying those Vaishnavas who have realized Nigama Kalpa Kalpa Shadhuka, Grava Amritam Samritam. People the Bhagavatam, Rasamala, Bhura, Rasika, Bhuvi Bhakti. So Srimad Bhagavatam should be heard from Rasika Vaishnavas. Even though they are liberated, they relish Srimad Bhagavatam. And when and who is the ideal Rasika Bhakti for us? Is Divine Krishna. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or reading his books is. So one time, Yamuna Devi, Srila Prabhupada's leading disciple, who has sung Govindamani Moksha. We sing it, we hear it every day, the recording in Darshana. She asked Prabhupada, after you leave, we have heard that we to take Raghavata Bhakti at some point after Vaidhi Bhakti, and that Raghavata Bhakti should be in the footsteps of Rajvasi. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has also mentioned in his book Manasiksha that one is to follow in the footsteps of Rajvasi to obtain a certain mood of Raj. So Prabhupada, what will happen after you leave? Prabhupada said, you have my books and I am that Rajvasi. So we do not see Prabhupada as that Rajvasi. We are to get into that mood. That way, it will be important. As a very simple example. If a friend, let's say the Prime Minister, a very big position, Prime Minister, he has his personal friends from many, many years, maybe from his school days also. But if that friend sees him as Prime Minister, then there is that Acharyas. But if he sees him as his best friend from school, where they used to play cricket or share their lunch, then there is sweetness, there is closeness. So similarly, our drishti, our at some point in our spiritual journey, we have to recognize that Prabhupada is so great. Actually, all our Acharyas, they are very young gopis known as Manjaris. How many have heard the term Manjaris? Please raise your hands. Thank you. Very nice. So we see on the Tulsi plant also, we find the leaves are the gopis. And the little Manjaris are the little gopis. They have a very special state. That even the gopis like Rita and Vishaka, who are known as Prabhu, they are known as the no, 1 second. It came to my mind. They are known as Priya Dharmas. They are known as Priya Dharmas. Very close to Srimati Radha. But the younger gopis, they are about anywhere from 11 to 13 years old. They are age group. And they are very innocent in nature. And they're also known as kinkaris. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung in the song, Gopina, in the song he says, does anybody know the words? Kinkar. What does Kinkar mean? Kim means what? And Kara means food. They are continuously absorbed in seva and doing. Once seva is not yet finished, and immediately they will ask, Oh Lalite, what can I do next? Oh Vishakhi, what can I do next? That is why this Vishwanath Giri Thakur, in the 6th verse of Mangalarti, Nikunjayu Nati ke Nisitya, Yaya Nati Apeshakita, Tatra Shamati. By the way, about a month ago, I was in GED and I gave 11 session seminar on the Durvasha. So there are external components that Srila Vishwanath Thakur as a sadhak or instruction to sadhak has been expressed through this Durvasha or commonly known as samsara level prayers. And there is the internal move, which is the Manjari. And he says, these Manjaris are so expert in Nikunja Rati. Rati means the amorous pastimes. They have perfectly understood the pastime, the amorous pastime of Radha and Krishna. Siddhya, perfection means perfection. Siddhi means perfection. Completely understood. And that is why Mahaprabhu also recognized those devotees in that same song, Shuddha Bhakta Charanarena. Mahaprabhu recommends that Gaura Amara Jaisha Smane, Gaura Brahmana, Shestan, Girivani, Pranay Bhakta Sangeet. What is Pranay? Pranay Bhakta is what means the Raghunatha Bhakta, or at least he knows what Raghunatha Bhakti is. And once one knows what Raghunatha Bhakti is, one understand the amorous pastimes of Radha and Krishna in Madhurya. So we should go with such devotees to the different places of pilgrimage where Mahaprabhu went with under the guidance of such devotees. Not some guy when you go to Vrindavan, some driver will take a taxi, pay 2,000 rupees and he will Barsana, Govardhan, Nandagram, and he will simply point out, or even some neophyte devotee who is living in Vrindavan now, but not necessarily. He understands the emotions or the esoteric nature. No? So we should, if we are fortunate, we should hear from devotees like that when they are speaking about the different bhajan studies or the wherever Mahaprabhu went, Krishna went and performed his pastime. As an example, in Mayapur, or in Vrindavan of Rajasthan. So, yeah, they could be Rati there. And Yaya, I mean, the Vaishnava devotees, like Lalita Vishara and Astasakis, the so much devotees, they are simply looking at them. What else can I do? I finished. this seva, non-stop seva. Seva, in our, sometimes we find in our experience in the temples, there are three types of devotees. One is that he is told that do this seva, and he will do it until he's done. I'm only concerned with my seva. So it is like that. If I give this example, that there was one big, very owner of a big bungalow, and he had a nice garden. So he wanted to plant some plants. So he engaged three gardeners. The first one was told, you dig. The second one was told, you plant the seed inside it. Okay, and the third one was told, you cover it with the earth, with the mud. So the center one, the middle one, had to go for the call of nature. So now you can figure out what happened. The first one is digging, and the third one is simply closing. So some of us are very rigid in that kind of just I have to do my seva habit. Sometimes we find that something is there, like some paper is on the temple grounds or in the temple, or maybe there is so much rush and prasada, and there are not enough devotees to serve. Then oh, it is not my seva to serve prasada. So my desire I did and finished. So that is one kind, which is also okay. Second kind of devotee is that he's told to do something, but he will never do it. Yeah. Which is the worst. And the third is that kind of without any telling, he will do it. Without that. So that is the mood of the Manjit. Yaya Adivir Yukti, or Yukti means Yukta, engage me in Radha Krishna service, especially in the Nikunja Seva, which is very, very confidential. And during Nikunja Seva, Radha, the gopis also, meaning Lalita, Vishaka, etc., they go out of the, they go out of the Bhavar or the Nikunja. Then who has to serve? Those Manjaris are sent to serve Radha Krishna. Because there is a need. Sometimes the mood is of man. Man is a very, very high level of praying that Srimati Radharani and her associates, they express sulkiness, anger, transcendental anger. Krishna is supposed to be 2 hours ago and he's not there, and they have decorated nicely with flowers and so many things, and he's not there. So Radharani goes into. We have Man Mandir in Varsana. How did that happen? Anybody knows that first time very quickly in one or two lines? Why did Radharani get upset? So that upsetness is called man. Like we say even in Hindi, how many of you all speak Hindi? So man means to because out of respect. You're not treating me well. I don't want to see you. But this is transcendental nature. Very transcendental. Most devotees will not understand why Radharani goes into one. So in Varsana, when Krishna came, he was late also. Krishna is always late when it comes to Srimati Radharani. So first she gets upset. And the next part of this is Krishna always tries to pacify Radharani by speaking very sweet words. Until she is pacified, Krishna has to be very subservient. Like, what does Jayadeva Goswami say? Dehi Pada Pandava. Please, Radharani, place your lotus feet on my head. I'm very sorry. Please accept my apologies. That is okay. So he has to confess that. Wipe her tears, nice, very sweet words, joke so much, and ultimately Radharani cannot but must smile and laugh. She comes out of the sulkiness or the angry mood. So this angry mood is something that is basically an extremely high mood that causes whenever the happiness or the union happens, the meeting, the sulkiness or the unhappiness or the transcendental anger can come when Krishna is not there. He's supposed to come and, perform its pastimes with them, with the Swapaksha Gopis and Srimati Radharani. So immediately after some time that anger comes in transcendental anger. So when eventually the meeting happens, which is known as Milan, then after some time there is such sweet happiness that never has been expressed or never been experienced before, which is actually the word that Prabhu uses, Ananda Buddhivardhana. The normal meaning is always there, but an Ananda Buddhivardhana means when Radha and Krishna meet, and when that sulkiness of the transcendental anger is finished, just like a husband sometimes has to pacify the wife. Wife is extremely upset. Oh, I don't want to talk to you. Go there. Go to the other room. That happens. Happens to me. Right? Where are you? I've been calling you 15 times. And then she hangs up. Then if I don't call back, she will call again. Why did you hang up the phone? I did not hang up. You hung up in anger. So these are the symptoms of that anger. And that is why Srimati Radharani in the Brahmani, the talking with the people, that is a lot of separation. So like Mataji said, separation. Service and separation, always thinking of Krishna. And there are many types of separation. Separation is when there is even Radharani right there in Krishna. And just because now the time is up, she has to go back to Yavat, to her home. Krishna has to go back to Nandgram. Both are feeling that separation. In a few more minutes or a few, we will be separated. So that kind of separation is also very, very deep. Very, very deep. That is, though there are all different names of the kind of separation. So here we find that our Acharyas are expert, first of all, in the Seva, Daksha, and Ativallam. That is why they are very, very dear to Radha, especially Shri. Nikunja, Rati Deli Siddha, Yaya and Yukti Rameka, they are always asking the Ashtasaktis or the Sopaksha Gopis, what else can I do? Please tell me. So they are like little girls. So Lalita said, okay, or Rukmanjari, she is the most prominent out of them. Okay, go. We'll tap her on the cheek. Go, quickly get some flowers. Some nice fresh flowers. One Malay will be asking, okay, go get some nice one. So our Narottam Das Thakur has composed this bhajan is none other than Champaklada Manjari. And his eternal seva is to make some nice milk for Radha Krishna. With some nice dry fruits, with some nice saffron, especially in the winter, some hot ingredients are put in the milk. Among so many other sevas, this is special. So somebody asked Prabhupada, who are you in Radha Krishna's Nitya Leela? Prabhupada said, if I tell you, you will faint. But we know that his divine minister of Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Narendra Manjari. Srila Gaur Kishore Maharaj Maharaj is Guru Manjari. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Kamala Manjari. Srila Jagannath Das Maharaj is Rasik Manjari. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baldev Dev, I don't recollect who he is, but he is also Manjari. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is Vinod Manjari. And I just mentioned that Srila Das Thakur is Chakravarti Manjari. Like that, Srila Jiva Goswami is Vilas Manjari. Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami is Guna Manjari. Srila Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is Rasa Manjari. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami is Tulsi Manjari, also known as Rati Manjari. Srila Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari. And Srila Sanatana Goswami is Lavan Manjari. So they have the highest and the most intimate seva, which even the Vaishnavas cannot do. So when they go into the future, they say, therefore they are very dear, Ati Vallabhas. And here the dearness first comes to Srimati Radha, and most dear to Radharani, and because they are dear to Radharani, they are dear to Krishna. And that is why the fifth verse in the Mangalam, Sri Radhika Madhurya Leela Guna Pratishana So what is this? Is in the Manjari Bhagavan, the internal mood of Srila Vishnu Thakur as Vinod Manjari is seeing this. That what these Manjaris are doing, he is junior Manjari in one sense. Of course, senior to our Prabhupada and Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, but junior to Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari, etc. So he is observing and he's seeing that when they come out of the liquids, they are surrounded by Lalita, Vishaka, Vidya, Chitra, Sudevi, Ragadevi, etc. And please tell us what has been inside. She was confused. How did Krishna pacify her? So one Manjari was present. You know what Krishna did? First he did this, he wiped her. Then he said sorry. Then the other Manjari will say, no, he didn't just say sorry. But he said sorry so many times and he fell in the foot. So that is the details. Sri Radhika Madhurya, the amorous pastimes, Guna Rupa, and how Pratishad, the moment they are asked for help, they are excited just like a teacher. No. You're missing this. You're missing this. This is what also happened. Like that, they are so excited. So even the Acharya or the Vaishnava, when he is speaking Katha, when they Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad, Chaitanya scriptures, anybody you see with great when one is speaking, that is the mood. Those with a lot of greed. We should have. Everybody is great, no one says. But we have greed for money, we have greed for material things. Prabhupada says, don't that greed towards Krishna consciousness. Prabhu Goswami has mentioned, what is the price of pure? What is the price of pure bhakti? So Prabhu Goswami has mentioned, and wherever you get it, you must purchase it right away. Everything is the price. Let's say this bottle is 10 rupees. Right? If you have to take a ticket, buy a ticket to America, maybe 1 lakh rupees. Everything has a price. What is the price of pure? He has said it very nicely, amazingly. Lowly. Only greed for Krishna consciousness is the price to purchase pure. That's how we have paid the greed has to. And how will that greed arise in us? When we study Vaishnava Acharyas. When we will be able to pray nicely, even though it may be mechanically or just like children simply repeating after their parents, one day that will come. What our Acharyas are saying, what is their heart, and all the moods of the Acharyas in their Vaishnava methods is pure scriptures sanctified. All the scriptures are given to us on a golden platter, but in a very, very simplified. So, Nandita Thakur in this bhajan is saying, he's praying perhaps to Bhakta Swami, who is none other than Manjula Lipiti, his guru. This time, please appreciate me. I've always been so humble. So, the first thing that pure Vaishnava, Vaishnava is always the more humble the devotee, the more advanced that. So this time have mercy on me, oh my dear Acharya. Ek baar karuna karo Vaishnava. And you will also mean Vaishnava Gosai is not only his own initially spiritual master, and also means all six. All 6 are brothers, God brothers. See, why I'm taking a little longer in this before I get into the bhajan is so that we can all get into the very important because there are so many wonderful instructions. In our ISKCON movement, glorious movement, there is some kind of weakness that is seen. I'm being very honest. Sitting on the glass is it is my duty. Speak. What is that weakness? Weakness is this. When I only do this, make a circle, I can only see Shyam Prakash. I cannot see anybody else that is present in this couple. So our week now you got it. Krishna Prabhu is very fast. He catches before we finish. He catches the essence. So here we find that supposing if we are initiated by a particular spiritual master, then we kind of enclose ourselves, only limit ourselves mostly that group or to that initiating spiritual master. And that is not what our mood of the Gaudiya Acharyas is, honestly speaking. Let's take a quick example of another bhajan. That's fact. And everybody knows this bhajan Krishna. We sing bhajan, we sing our, but it would be nicer if we understand the mood of the Acharya and what is written. Do you all know when this bhajan was composed? Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Karamure, Tumavina Ke Dayalu Jagat Samsara, everybody knows it. It is called Vaishnava, Janita, Vila, in separation of the Vaishnava. And in particular, in the last line we find the indication, Ramachandra Santamagi Virudas. So that Ramachandra is not Darshanatanda Ramachandra. It is Ramachandra Kaviraj, who happens to be his grand disciple. And initiated Gangadharan Chakravarti. Srila Gangadharan Chakravarti's disciple was Ramachandra. And he, in the separation, he remembers all from Mahaprabhu, Nityam, Prabhu, Vaishnava, Acharya, Sarvadhamma Swami, Swami, Sanatana Swami, Jiva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Gopal Goswami. And then at the end, he said, there was Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas, Ramachandra Sangam. So Srinivas Acharya. Dukhi Krishnadas or Shyamana Pandit, same personality. And Narottam Das, all three were initiated by different spiritual masters. Sri Narottam Das was initiated by Sri Gautam Prabhu. Sri Shyamana Pandit, Goswami. And Srinivas Acharya was Sri Gadadhar Prabhu. Gopal Bhatta. All initiating spiritual masters separate. Now just see the mood of those exalted spiritual masters. Because they saw that their initiated Diksha disciples were so amazing and taking their bhakti so seriously, they said, you go to Vrindavan, go to Sevaya and study more advanced subjects under Jivos. So nowadays we find that even somebody is running a small bhakti mission. We have seen that weakness. We have heard it. Many devotees come and discuss with me in private that our leader is saying, you have to only listen to me, nobody else, and if you have to talk to somebody, you have to go to me. That is very Kanishta. Very Kanishta. There are 9 kinds of Vaishnava, 3 categories, Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttam. So even within that 3 categories, 3 meaning 9. Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Madhyam Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam. Uttam Kanishta, Uttam, Madhyam, and Uttam. And I like to give an example that nowadays in India, the girls, when they are trying to marry a boy, the first thing they sometimes ask is, do you have your own home? Then we will talk about it. Sometimes they use such words that how much garbage you have. I was shocked when I heard this from a person who just returned when I was in the Toronto area. He said, Uncle, I'm going, to see some girls my parents have selected. And when he came back after 2 months, I got engaged. I said, okay, fine, congratulations, when is the wedding? After 1 year. But he said, Prabhu, I will tell you what kind of experiences I had. Even I could not understand. I went and saw a few girls. One girl asked me, "What garbage do you have in your home?" I did not understand. And somebody explained garbage. You have father, mother, brother, sister, grandfather, grandmother. That is garbage. One girl said that how much luggage you have, baggage you have in your house. Same thing. So what she said, her parents said to him that if you have your own separate housing, then we can further we like you. But you don't have separate. So now what will happen in such cases? We find that it's predominant nowadays. Previously there used to be what we know as circle, where everybody was living, many uncles, many aunties, many elder cousins. When a new child is born, grandfather, grandmother, all staying under the same house. And when the new child is born, how much love that child gets from everyone, not only from the father and mother. Also gets so much love from the aunties, the uncles, because they're all in the same house. From the cousins that were previously born and they're much older. So much love they get, grandfather, grandmother. But imagine, when they separate from their house, husband, wife, they start their own flat, their own home. When the child is born, they only get maybe their love is only from father-in-law. Maybe they go twice a year on some festival to see their grandparents, like on Diwali or something, like what is happening in the Western culture. This is exactly what happened. Tomorrow is Christmas. So that's what happened. Only 2 days in a year, mostly the Americans. Thanksgiving, which is the third Thursday of November. That is Thanksgiving Day. I don't know who they thank. They thank each other for liquor, cutting the turkey. That is must. Millions and millions of turkey birds are slaughtered. Because in the previous days, when the English came and they offered something to the Red Indians, the Red Indians didn't have anything. They just simply caught a turkey, wild turkey, and exchange gifts. To show their gratitude, thanksgiving. And they even continue to this day. But those Red Indians did not have anything else to give. They were always depending on meat. They did not have proper vegetation to grow vegetables or fruits. So that was whatever the nature of the land was. Right? They adapted to keep themselves. So that is even said in the Shastra. But what is the problem now? So every table in Thanksgiving, all the family gets together, far away they come. Many sons of the parents, they will come, sisters will come, brothers will come, they will sit at one table, and then there will be big turkey that they would have started making it since morning. And this is in the evening. A lot of work. And then they bring the big turkey on the table and they put several knives. And then before doing that, oh my dear Lord, my Father in heaven, we thank you. Blessed be thy name. Thank you for this Thanksgiving. And then they will say, let's now take the turkey. Thanksgiving. What? I tell you. And in the name of Thanksgiving, so many gifts are sold. There is no question of thinking of even if they are Christians or Catholics, Christian or Jesus. Same thing with Christmas. And even now, Diwali in India has taken perfectly the shape of the Western culture. It is just a marketing gimmick so that more products will be say 50% off. Saris, 50% off. Shirts, 50% off. Whatever, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. Diwali sale, Diwali sale, Diwali sale. No question, nobody is thinking about the return of Lord Ramchandra and how they lit the entire university with lamps. How many of them are even discussing it with their children? That story, maybe a very, very, very small fraction of our society. But enjoy. Make lots of prasad, sweets. Don't even offer to Krishna. The sweet shops are all full. I'm talking about non-devotees. Those who are even so-called religious pious people. That is Diwali. That is Christmas to the Christians. They don't even go to church on Christmas Day. All churches are empty. Some go on midnight mass. But most of them, they go to each other's house or they go to the bar to drink. Merry Christmas. And they talk about Santa Claus, which is an imaginary figure. It doesn't even exist. Did you all know that? It does not exist. This is something that the marketing people have started. If we put some Santa Claus and the children will be very happy. And today is known as Christmas Eve, 24th of December. So what they do is, their parents tell them, make a list of what you want. So the child will make a list and put a chick under the Christmas tree. And the morning when they wake up, Santa said this. And when they ask, did Santa come down from our chimney? A lot of places they have found this. Yes, he came from the chimney. He parked his reindeer sled on our roof and he came down. What nonsense? Even in imagination, they could not imagine properly. Santa is so bad, according to them. How he can come down from my chimney? No logic. And even in India, we go to this ball sometimes, ha 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 ha, take a picture and you pay 500 rupees with Santa. In all the malls, they have one Santa sitting. There is a long line, huge line. That is this mind, illusory world. We are in, we love illusion. Actually, his name, according to that, there is this imaginary Saint Nicholas, who started this Santa Claus thing. Just to get people together or something like that, maybe good intention, but imaginary figure. So what was I saying prior to the Santa Claus nonsense? That's all. So the love is here. So similarly, in this example that I gave, is if we become like that couple and separate ourselves and we only have, then we will not get the love of the subtle movement that is divine nature. There are so many uncles, meaning Srila Prabhupada's disciples, besides our Diksha spiritual master. There are so many Vaishnavas. Because just see, let's be a little more logical. Let's know whoever our spiritual master is. They're always traveling. They're always busy. Even if you get to see your spiritual master, spiritual master, 1 minute, that is a great thing. 1 minute, and that too maybe once a year. In some places, it does not happen for 2 years, 3 years. Then where do we get our Siksha? We get it from those Vaishnava. Another thing I want to point out, that we very loosely use the word Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru is a very exalted position. Just like our gurus or our acharyas, our Bhagavata parampara is predominantly Siksha. Siksha is important, but Siksha is very important. For example, who do we have on the altar? Lord Krishna Maharaj is Siksha Guru is Divine Vaishnava Bhaktivinoda Thakurji. Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakurji is Siksha Guru is Jagannath Das Bhaktivinoda. Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakurji had taken Diksha from a different personality, Shri Vivek Bihari Goswami. But we honor Shri Jagannath Das Bhaktivinoda because that's how the relationship was of Siksha. So similarly, when Narottam Das Thakur went to Vrindavan, and they all three were studying with the Goswami, Srinivas Acharya and Shaman Pandit and himself, Narottam Das Thakur, such bonding. Although they were all initiated by, so they are Siksha. So that's why I always say, and this is very important. I have to bring this then to everybody's attention Right now, we still have Srila Prabhupada disciples on this planet. Slowly we are disappearing. Next 10 years, 15 years, almost all will disappear. Then, how will this ISKCON continue next year? They are actually, even there are some discrepancies within them, but at least they are disciples of Srila Prabhupada, direct disciples. When we, as second generation, and also perhaps the third generation as they grow, when we have the role of leaders of ISKCON, and if we are looking at only Shyam Prakash like this, huh? Our cost of we haven't seen him, right? Then what will happen? There will be clashes. There will be some debates. And it will be even more intense than what is happening now. And that is the reason we are all God brothers and all God sisters. We should never forget. Because we are somehow related as Shiksha. Just like Srinivas Acharya and Shyama Pandit. And therefore he remembers them in his prayers of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu there. We all singing it, but we don't contemplate. Why is mentioning that? So much love. So much love even for Ramchandra Kaviraj, who happens to be his grand disciple. Not his disciple. That should be okay. And Shiksha Guru, actually GBC should do something about it. Anybody needing Bhakti Varsha or giving us guidance is our mentor or our counselor, not Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is all Acharyas. For us, our Shiksha Guru is not only the disciples of Shiksha Guru, but even if they are deviating in some way, then they are not our Shiksha Guru. Really sorry to say that. Some of them are not perfectly. Honesty has to be there. So we have to be very careful about selecting our Shiksha Gurus who are disciples of Shiksha Guru. From whom we take Shiksha and we will take the advantage, just like a Sadhu. And then, of course, our Shiksha Guru is none other than His Divine Krishna Prabhupada and all our Acharyas in the line. So you and I, we cannot become Shiksha Guru. Not at least in the present state. If somebody is addressed as Shiksha Guru and if he is a leader and if he accepts it, it's a big offense. No, unknowingly they are doing it. Or sometimes knowingly, because everybody loves Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada was approached by San Francisco 1967, when some of the hippies, when they approached that they liked what they heard from Prabhupada and they started chanting and everything, and they heard from Srila Prabhupada that my Guru Maharaj this, my Guru Maharaj that, and he's always said, Om Vishnupada Brahman Suprema Jagacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Jagat Guru Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, so then they said, Swamiji, you are God. And Prabhupada will immediately reject that. No, I am not God. And represented him. Shiva, if some neophyte devotee approaches us and says that you are my Shiksha, then it is a duty of that person not to accept that. Because if what I just said, these are teachers, mentors. How long is this Shiksha Guru in the movement? 3 years. So what is the comparison between the Satcitananda and all the Acharyas? When we read their books, when we are reading Brahma Samhita, where they are getting their Shiksha? They are getting it from the Siddhanta. He has translated the English books. Right or not? How many of you agree with this explanation? Please be honest. I'm not going to take it against you. How many of you agree that the definition of a Shiksha Guru is not some ordinary persons that are just practicing very good? How many of you? Thank you so much. So Prabhu, you don't know. What is the confusion? I'm trying to clarify that original books. Maybe you came a little bit later. But we just don't, our Bhagavad Parampara is predominant in Shiksha. I mentioned that even our own spiritual Diksha gurus, we hardly get to say no 1 minute in 1 year, or sometimes once in 2 years. And how do we get our advancement in Krishna consciousness? You know, but if you can make a note of that, and Shiksha Guru is very correct. What is the Shiksha Guru is He's not ordinary. Then spending 60 crores per entity, but not even books. Really sorry, some of you have got a shock here this morning, but it's expecting because that is what I learned from the Vaishnava. They are mentors, counselors, leaders, and use all those words. Very, very, very. You have to be very careful, right? Maybe the new mind will say that, but we should not accept. We should immediately correct it. Many people approach me. I like like, you know, you are like this. I said, no, I'm not. Very happy that whatever I'm sharing, and I realize that you advance, and our Vaishnava is bless you. But please, next time, don't use the word that I am. So therefore, the example, and when you then mention the last time, all are initiated by the Christian. How can you give Diksha by the same? You can look it up. So that is very important. That answer will be in most of ourselves just like this, that we are restricted. We work with open eyes. So many wonderful Vaishnavas are there. Then we can derive Shiksha. And perhaps Shiksha too. That is the thing. So in this bhajan, we say that एक बार मैं करो Vaishnava. Then it won't be the spiritual master. Spiritual life. Samsara na bhakti. Very important. Very I learned today. This is plural. That is another point to explore. Globally, all the Vaishnavas in the line of Rupa Vaishnava. One day Guru whole Lord. We also say one day Sri Guru, Sri Guru, H, Guru, Bhagavata. Doesn't say one day Guru. These things are so always great. That they are these my dear Vaishnava science. We are also following this time, you know. Take one again and again. Then we come with Prabhu saying again and again, but please this time. What is that? The Vedanta Sutra? The second half. It is an incomplete sentence. Just like a code, it's a sutra. Therefore, one must think. What does that mean? Therefore, one must think. Because if we want to work on this, we should think to that. No. Therefore, one must think because you are doing all time, I must inquire about spirituality. Krishna consciousness. Therefore, this time, you know, so many times this. But the common not be done. Nobody else. Simple as you. Isn't that the case of this mind and spiritual? Can we compare any of our questions? I won't go. There's only this. If we try to put them in the same scale as and I'm not here. I want the first thing here. No, they are completely wrong with the fundamental principle of the Diksha initiation that they are conducting. But even our spiritual master who can take Diksha, and if we sentimentally think that he's equal to Prabhupada, some that even fanatically think that they're greater than Prabhupada, that is very, very dangerous. There is no comparison to his divine graces that are there on the altar to our own spiritual master. Yes, of course, we have to respect them, all the honor, as mentioned in the Shastra. And still, the time is mentioned that you give every Vaishnava respect according to their position. But only those who recognize the position will be able to give that. Otherwise, if you say it will be maybe somebody can translate into Kannada or Telugu. Or I'll say it in a very right. That now the package is money. I now I say 10 rupees maybe. But so many vendors sending and we would saw that it's so expensive now on different basis. In America, we need $9.50 for one small point. So that's like 125 rupees. And this is 10 rupees. But, anyways, in a blind people, like 10 rupees, Korean rupees, and the most expensive GI is like Chacha. That's it. 10 rupees left, and the Chacha should be maybe 1,000 rupees kilo, 100 rupees kilo, in purity. So, Prabhupada, they are expected. Prabhupada consciousness. Like, what is the power? How could we can be Prabhupada? Yes. And nobody can deliver. And he has left the comfort of the down. So, there are two types of devotees, Bhajanam and preachers. For Vaishnavas, Vaishnavas. Bhajanam who are actually Mahabharata. They come down with the platform of Bhajanam to preach, solely to preach for the mankind, to save them. So, when they, Vaishnava, there are so many in the thinkers behind so much places there are so many sadhus. Simply with a lot of things here, and they are and at the end when they leave their work, letting them come understand that Mushtiya, with those verses of Quran is there. That's why petrol producing Baba asked him, take a benediction from me. So what is everything? My father and everything. Given me a plus gold, honey, everything soft, soft bags, soft nice walls, association of all trying to kill them like a little wasp. What is that to ask him? But I don't want anything. No, please ask. Okay, fine. Deliver that. That is not something that you ask already that 21 generation in the past, 21 generation get to come because of that. Sometimes everybody asks, my parents are not interested, my brothers are not interested, my dear friends are not interested, my trying, don't bring that anymore. Just we should become Vaishnava, automatically they will also 21 generations will be liberated. From the example of Prahlad Maharaj and let's say the romance comes. So then finally he says, no, the tradition is still there. You have to ask. He said, okay, give me only two things. First, he asked that may I know material desires. May know, that is why I'm saying that I am telling my son, we should know how to pray. When we are standing in front of watching, when we are standing in front of Prabhu, watching, there are so many people. So they know the desires. Secondly, why do man going all over and saving souls? My only request is I do not want my father's kingdom, I do not want anything material. I do not even want to go back to the please. I would like to not give me benediction. Please, don't say that. Let me assist my servant. It's very important. And there is going back to God is not so important, my dear. None of our Acharyas, what you wish to tonight, they said, or their past. In fact, our Satcitananda Prabhu used to say, don't try to speak services and the Christian. So Prabhupada used to repeat this message of the Guru. So Prabhupada is something so Prabhupada is later on he continued with the constant flow of purified things. So that is some kind of program, some kind of incentive that if you chant 64 hours and follow the four negative principles, you will go back to God. But his words are right. Stop and listen. Showing a Shravana is like the time to stay within the God. The God is fully surrendered to Krishna like the Shravana in the sincere hungers. Like mentioned in the Harimat class, humility, surrender of everything comes to Krishna. अपने भोग के बारे में कृष्ण में all activities that were and six, whatever activities are not conducive to one thing, you must reject. So one who has six countries of surrender, then Prabhupada says, if the child for 64 rounds, follow the principles, you go back to God. Go back. Not necessarily that. 75% of the creation is Vaikuntha Loka. And then one the divine Ayodhya. Right, and then go. Say, we stay on the waiting time of the rest of our spiritual journey. Then at the time of death, we will think about status. We will think about all those pastimes. Then we will celebrate transported maximum to Mathura, which is a different and a Krishna guru. There are many types of Krishna Prabhupada said that purport I heard years ago in the purport of Bhagavata of the street. Yeah, oh, I will find instruct his mind. Please worship his Krishna but the Krishna in the now, the right, so that son, he had going to do things. Yogamaya, yeah. Also, and Vasudeva came, Yogamaya overlearned the God said he was sleeping, one said he was sleeping. He says, give given by Bhagavata Sevaya. Mentioned by Swami, Vaishnava Swami. In the commentaries, is there a Prabhupada also has mentioned that. When Vasudeva came, extremely because of the Kanya, the little baby already, his son, Vasu, and he left. Krishna, and when the Guruji came, Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, and constantly around. So, at that time, Prabhu bowed down to down before he left, got to the chariot. And on the board, Mathura went down, bowed down to the down because he's a devotee. And then the big bow. And then Krishna is awesome. And Vasudeva Krishna went to Mathura. And even in Vrindavan, Vaishnava has explained specifically that any demons that were killed, they were all by Vasudeva Krishna within Nandana Krishna is simply full of love. All he does is that we are not that's going on. No magnetic evidence. Yes. It is true. Then the Krishna is the 15-year, 9-month-old Krishna, who is the Govinda Mani Krishna. Sure, Krishna. It doesn't grow beyond that. Vasudeva Krishna, 125 years. That was the age. It is possible. But eternally, Kishore Krishna is performing the Lord is the almost the 16-year-old boy. And Radharani is Kishori. Only then they can. So, all he does is make a room and the comes. Speaks sweetly, talks sweetly, blesses the bodies. That is his job. In Golokandavan, Nandanath Krishna, he explains on the right Radharani. Sadhya Shakti and Bhavani Shakti himself is Sadhya Shakti. So it is true Lord program that the thoughts they come from Lord Bhagavata, Sadhya Shakti. Including the two particle expansion, or such there in one second. And from the second set in partners, the three issues and the different avatars they emanate. But it is not that Krishna Janmani is coming to some extent and all the sweet lessons. Instead, Krishna. What our body is very deep, sing their prayers. Special. Acharya can speak. Regardless of body or non-body, that who will be with them. Because Bhujanamji for 10 he said, no, my spiritual master ordered me. When you are a very, very experienced person, please preach this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the English. The old age was thinking of bigger desire of Shri. That's like, right? Prabhavina Kirtanam Jagat Samsara. Same thing. The All different is devotees. Saksa very different or something. Same. Passion. But the power is to talk about career. Mind is so many. And yet you are like the one is sad on the footsteps of serious corporation before he would be the owner of the system. This is the owner strategy. It's because of Vaishnava. Still not something that. One of them. Swamiji, where are you from? Please come. She told Mr. Choksi, and her secretary, give him an appointment tomorrow. Then when he went, this is Sumati Bride. I heard you have something very good. When you were, I ordered me to do that. Can you give me one small space? He said, no, this is not a cruise liner. No comforts of this Swamiji. That's the way I say not completed. Speak. He said, you know, you are a Vaishnava. The order of the master. I will not disturb anybody, please. Then finally, the store takes intensity of divine wisdom. The rest is history. All the people came to the United States just before walking on Boston Harbor. He writes a poem where he says that how can these people who are in the board of the stand Srimad Bhagavatam, if you make me eligible, then my name without the constitution. They have given me this title, but I have no knowledge, I have no bhakti. Trying the most, make me dance and wish you make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. Trying most things better, AC dance. Standing on the tree, this is pure compassion. How many sadhus have done that? Simply giving a very small in a crowded park where they were all smoking, rampant drug addiction, playing their music, they were all trying to seek their power, make them happy. The hippies were trying to be happy, trying to find God. They were trying to find spirituality. Here is the Swami that comes from India, takes one kanta of standing under the big tree, chants, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So much comes the Bhakti leader stand on it, and I want to see how many persons are in it. Let me try and do it, and I think I will affect that many people. But because of the pure pleasure and sacrifice, they are whatever they have, bongo, guitar, saxophone, whatever Western Prabhu did that. Just what he brought one parent. One umbrella. First kind of single Bhagavatam section, extend volumes, and maybe 2 pairs of notes. That's all he had in his possession. Chanted the Hare Krishna Bhagavatam. Practice. Like these kind of practice is a wonderful ministry. They did not understand the chant, but they dance in the circle in his divine nature. Slowly and surely, somebody for affected. Swamiji Viren came to India, yes. Professor Howard Miller. He jumped across the street when he saw a saffron robe. Swami, because he had been to Haridwar Rishikesh before, and he had seen that brahmacharis has to wear saffron. He lived in the New York traffic, calling the cars, and he asked for a Then, because of the pure vibration, Paramatma is in this divine grace and heart, and also in the heart of those beings. They only do one thing that he means. We as a mind can always do distribution. But our attitude is not selling. This is not worship God. We are not selling books. No, we are distributing love. That's the first consciousness we should have. This is for all Buddhists. This is success. No, not just some salesman. I am a real life Christian. With that consciousness, we approach somebody. The other day I was asking this question, the challenges of Krishna consciousness, that was the topic in Kerala. Out of the 4 class that I did, that was the topic. Book distributed the challenges that they don't give us enough time, they stand and they just, keep walking. Some don't even look at us. But do we approach them that like Krishna, we are not ourselves? Do we approach them that we are when we have the feeling of our heart, that person's heart, that person who wants to stop, instead of giving you 2 minutes, you give 20 minutes. And then when you give them that book, tell them nicely, sure them to change your life and change. Everybody's looking for this. So many things you can tell them that we are not actually not very people. Nicely. When the person is ready to give that donation, you take it. Whose child is that? Krishna. God's will give you in your hands. Let's see. Yes, and the person is giving, the devotee is giving somebody, that feeling should come. And then just don't give him the book. Keep it like this is all we can say. But the diary, the approach, he takes it. Maybe less than that. Yeah, he's already given the donation. Don't give it much. Take a little piece of paper. When I am in this book, there was some question. And there was some nice movies to answer that. So I didn't help you. Person is not here to grab my 200 rupees and walk out. That complaint counts. I travel all over the world. And that is what one of the impressions is that it's not devotees are very pushy. You have to understand the if we become fanatics, then we are almost committing now. Supposing if somebody is really not interested, let it go. And then how much have we understood from it? Third chapter, Dharma Yoga. Do not be attached to the results of it. So success or no success, always we will know success is bound to come. Krishna will make sure it will be a success. Sometimes it will give us a lesson. But they will we are not here to hear and then the person distributed 2 books, Mahabooks, and yes, if that's what another Krishna is, sorry, I'm giving what I learned from the Vaishnavas, what I read from the Vaishnavas book, sorry, some of the important books. Sometimes Yata, what is that? Yata is Prabhu. Was told the same thing. Dr. Krishna spoke about this. He didn't put a gun on his head. He was fine. Start when you approach. And you are in their heart. This is Prabhupada's mercy that I received. Law. If you saw it, Prabhupada never said, oh, I want this stuff. We don't learn. We are so engrossed in distributing our books. Second generation devotees. Distributing their books of their Maharaj. Maharaj books take a maximum. Every temple you open, My dear Rama Rajkumari, you should do that. My dear Rama Nandani, you should do that. My dear Rama Nandani, you should do that. That is nice. Maybe come and do worship. Or let this temple be complete because Prabhupada, when he came, sometimes the temples were not finished. Brother Rajkumari was started a long time ago. Mumbai two temple was the last one. Not that Krishna make this temple nice, or make finish this temple. If you so, these are some of the key words. That's why I say, how do we pray? And that is the same thing. Arjuna was not. Prabhupada gives the example of Arjuna before that Brahmastra came and exploded. He offered obeisances and offered petitions. Please help me. Where did this great abundance come about? See, the Brahmastra exploded. So he asked Krishna, where did this come? What is this huge heat and light that is emanating? Where is it? Yes, Krishna Bhagavata is a very, very amazing prayer, but we realize we don't have the time. Perhaps I can next time. I will do this. I'll be speaking in seminar on stuff. But in the meantime, so I'm impressed with the whole thing. I have my own website, blogs, Puri, SEVA, Amazon, PURESEVA .ca of Canada, .com. Okay, then you can find that on the top there's a tab, join Bhakti Vedanta Group. So I was alone and everything that I speak, wherever I go, on the website, last 2 years I've not been able to, there was one devotee was helping. I'm not getting that website. Last 2 years, lectures have not been uploaded, but some very important seminars. On the very first page, seminar section, you can scroll. You will see all those prayers. Several days, it's 20%. 2.5 hours each. And you can learn it from your leisure if you desire to kind of learn what actually say. Speaking it as from the cognitive from the what do you it is a very deep way. But we do not see that in that way. So we are mostly trying to develop some devotion. But it's not some prayers. I mean, not only the Prabhupada was so amazing, after they got the 26th Avenue, he had this Bhagavata Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The devotees, or not even the devotees, in peace came, they were hungry because they were drunk. They had done some things. Those who do that, they feel very good. They do that when they visit 26th Avenue. Then you free lunch. They used to come and take so much. Take so much dal, rice, sabji, and personally sit and squat on his knees and serve them. My dear boy, some of them would eat full of the earth and simply go there in their girlfriend. Some of them would simply sleep there. There's so much food in their stomach and pockets their girlfriend. But they have taken some food. One man, take one of the pots and pick up wash all the pots. That is why we have to pray like this. These are persons. I'm not able to do my Santa properly. I'm not able to attend the morning program. This time, please find yourself back to the what is the power of God? John and Nityam simply have that faith Like coming to Sri Prabhupada's meeting, people are fortunate to come to Sri Prabhupada. All of us have been eradicated after the religion. But among the there is nobody as possible as Prabhupada. Ganga person started now, the Shara after taking the bath, getting one thing, perhaps purified. By taking the bath in the holy rivers. But why? Merely the darshan purifies us. Ganga person started pavan, darshan pavitra karo. You have such fascinating qualities that simply when you glance at it. Then one question that arises because I have done this points. That Shalom question. Why not everyone speaking? Even within our institute, there are so many faults. Nobody said. Why? The answer is the next line. Aristane apnade bari harinam, upastane apnade. If we commit some offense, Hari, let's say we are doing some seva, as a pujari, or he's trying for next touch the body by mistake. Sometimes we stand on the floor, and this is perfect. So this is perfect. We have to give a seat up because the whole expansions of Lord Bhagavata. Lot of honor. Every time we come to them, every time we have any instrument, kirtan, I go to the final but by mistake, that's what it is, or we forget to do something. Then it's okay. When it's kind of the offense against Krishna, hallelujah. And we chant the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It is cancelled. And here, starting somebody else, they will not force, they will anybody program is wants. Next word, because Acharyas in the London was saying that anybody has program is wants. They will become devotees. And we call ourselves towards him. Let me say, after Haristhana of Planetarium, more reports. And like we see, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so many places, Vishwara, the Gurasuni, acted against Vishwara, Sundasan Chandra went. The weapons of the Lord, they always finish the problem once they are used. And then they are reformed by the Chase Gurasuni was a mistake. He went all over the Brahma. Went to Brahma, he said, he cannot do it. No. I suggest God wants to say, go to Vishnu. That was perhaps it will be stopped. So this is the press coming behind him as he's running. He reaches by him and says, I know, please forgive me, forgive me. You know, this doesn't give me dignity. He feels the hate. Person is dead. Once he is released, it will do its job. And here, especially in my weapons, they will pass. They are even beyond my control. This is what Narayana says. The weapon is beyond my control. How come the Paradi? I am the devotee by one who claims to be my devotee directly is not my devotee, but one is the devotee of my devotee. That is the Siddhanta. You go if you want to stop this. It will be delayed a bit. Sudarshan Chandra will give you the chance. Go and like he begged for forgiveness. Your grandmother, big offense. Oh, now order this thing to bring up to what is this is you're not going to carry any weapons. Oh, my weapon will come automatically regardless. I'm so upset. The way they treated Nityam, kick you on the chest. This is going to do its job. Because Lord Nityam, the leader and then, when they understood that, and they felt the lotus to the Lord, and then the sugar very, you never commit offense against any. We don't know what's going to bring up your devotee education. Never we have many. We are dealing with this. Prabhu said, anybody who chants in Hare Krishna in his life. So we may have many complications, so many different stuff here. But at the end of the day, when someone starts to follow two devotees for fighting, first thing is that come here, sit, tell me what good qualities he has. After some time you would say, he's chanting. Reluctantly, so much. He hates that person so much. Then he asks that to go to what qualities? Like that, but some makes them each other speak only good qualities. Specifics of it in peace, tell me what good qualities you see in him. This, tell me what good qualities you see in him. That was the method of doing it. Finally, go of a one child through this pass of the village. Hug each other and say, genuinely. It's a very good system. And we can also incorporate it in our lives. And we cannot get about it's okay. We need to get it in here. It's there. It's chance to everyone. Even though we may commit a very mistake, he's not always simply not a chances. Right? He is very patient. Very, even after that, somebody doesn't think it's out. Like we see many people in that become Hitler. Because out of ego, then Krishna will still give them a chance. But if it goes beyond a certain level, we have seen them. Many places in our lives. So somehow or other, when we are going to be given a particular seva and we become small people, we have to be very careful. One time, some students of Prabhupada's disciple from Kolkata, Bhagavata. So he became the Acharya in Bhagavata. And he, one representative came running there, Maharaj, because he's the Acharya of that. You know, these devotees, brahmacharis are not listening to me. Why are you doing something? So upset, isn't the angry and everything? So Maharaj did this. And why don't you think that you are the president? Why don't you think that you are just simply changing that concept, right? Then everybody knows this. That love is not that, you know, of course, sometimes in administrative process is very hard to make certain decisions that will not help. It's hard. It can be done in the way. We can become thunderbolts inside. We chastise somebody because they have authority. They cannot catch it. Even if you have a people talent, you should chastise the government later on. So please forgive me. When you become the diamond, and your father respect you to chastise. That person is just wishing well. But All this so-called modern science are believing are rascals. Passion. And what we tell every nation of the Jew and Prabhupada was there, morning walk. So Dr. Patel was very, very learned. He knew the Vedas, many philosophies, and Bhagavata also, just from this perspective, whatever he learned. Prabhupada found this as morning. He had many of his disciples of him, and Dr. Patel would ask questions. One day he asked Prabhupada, sorry, in Bhagavad Gita access Pandita Samadhi. Pandit, everybody looks upon everybody equal to that Swamiji, why you are following this side of the Rasta? Just see what Prabhupada answers. He immediately takes an important step and points at all our version, Pandita Samadhi, and we view Krishna consciousness equally. We don't hold back. Anybody who that's the beauty of this, anybody, whatever you're talking about, discuss. Take to this process. And then he says, Kumara Vijay Sada Govinda Vishnu. In your heart, Krishna or Govinda is residing with a lot of ease. Remember, somebody around them, necessarily in my heart, said it. Taking it out of Hindi. Just like, example, parents. The child is causing a tantrum, wants this, wants that. Although he knows it's not good for him, so okay, so do what you want. But it is not the desire of the parent. To think the child says, I want to play next to one of cricket. I will do my homework tomorrow. No. That's fine. Finally, the mother says, okay, go. That is sanction. But the desire is something to do. If the desire of the mother or father is fulfilled by the child, it will give them pleasure, it will give them honor. Similarly, father is the heart of the and another meaning of the word Govinda. You all know what is Govinda? Very easy. Govinda. Go means Gopas. Go means Gopis. Go means Gokul. Along with Go means senses and Go means cows. One who gives this is addressed to the word Govinda. Because there are class what? There the word Govinda always resides in the hearts of believers. One of them, Sada, always. By addressing him Govinda, he reminds him that yes, Go means pleasure. Go means Gopis, Gokul, Gopas, cows, etc. So you give pleasure with them. Now, but let me remind you, my dear sir, you are in Nityam. Pleasure, the Gopis, etc. The Gopas. तुम्हारा रिलेशन गोविंद कृष्ण गोविंद वैष्णव same two meanings. Govinda is Vaikuntha like Sri Venkateswara Swami or Nasika Swami. But here Govinda also always mentioned. Govinda says, Krishna says that all of you will receive God without you making so many wonderful contexts. Every year, birth of only I want to receive the dust of the Holy Spirit. Please have mercy on me. Oh, Vaishnava Acharyas. That is the prayers of the Lord also in this. He says, I want to insist on your knowledge is reaching everything that you say also. That is what the prayer, highest prayer should be. I don't care if I go back to my I won't be care when I want to come back. Remember, what will be in the system? Divine back to God and something that Prabhupada had two things. He didn't say back to God. Acharyas' words are very perfect. Shows that language. Because he knows most of us, if we do not understand the Prabhupada, our consciousness will not be there. This can understand. Whatever your consciousness of time is, one may be understand. But the consciousness will be one will end up there. But in your consciousness, you will end up. And that only we will end up when we can have the consciousness develop. When we the greed develops, when we enter into the dasha. After the samsara, then we come to as per the recommendations. Then Vishnu Ruchi makes greed. Just the greed or arise. Just like a very greedy person has so much greed to but robber has a lot of greed to loot. But some loot I was there. That greed rises in the heart. Then the action comes. Then in the next day, Ruchi and affect. It is revealed to us in the heart what service we have in Guru Vrindavan or in Vrindavan. Whether Guru Vrindavan or God is revealed. And in the last day, the revelation becomes full-fledged and we serve in them. So wherever was sorted, we offer heaven. One time he was content with the same office. There is some nice people. He was sitting in the town. That is the mood of Acharyas. When we are chanting, many people ask this question. Mind is going. We have to, first of all, we have to follow the recommendations. The secrets of religion, religious very secret. When we follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans, the great Vaishnavas, we can understand. When they are chanting, the process is only hearing, but chant, read, around, not to learn purpose. Audible to ourselves. That won't be what disturb anyone. Because somebody may have pain, we have seen some branches putting the chant the advertiser, oh, I can start chanting at 4 a.m. in the morning, sitting in my backyard. This wife said, disturbing all the neighbors, coming chanting illegally and chant something. But he's young. Hey, Mr. Acharyas! What I was. It is more or less like in the Hindi that what you say, somebody has become a he says, Allah, Allah, Allah. We are not fanatics. Science. So when we chant, how do we make that? We also try to invite experience. We absorb. Think, not only audibly chant, but absorbing them. Think of some nice seva that you do. Think of some words that you like. Except, minimum 16 good rounds will finish like this. When you will finish 20, not realize. And possibly even 60. You won't feel like it is as if you feel able to start. And we will take that burden on about the strength of the holy name. How beautiful the holy name is. So don't miss tomorrow's session. Devotees, Your work of the Buddha, that is the land of divine grace, your followers. And rather than say, fine, we have not really come back to the we take permission from Krishna. Even rather we say, take permission. So, say, come back and join Sevaya. Say, yes, of course. But prior Satcitananda has said that. Of course, please welcome. Come on. Then again, if they are the same, Krishna Prabhu, Krishna preached fire with them. The Krishna Brahman is in the room. 69 years ago, just like many people, brahmacharis and devotees ago, go up and expand. So many, this is what the expansion comes. But this is itself is dependent if there are so many units. Right? It's fine. Krishna says that it is not a so Katha Gana is not reflected. And in video of 26 seconds, that walk with garbage. No complaints. And we will go. What that is in the class began to Ram Krishna mission. That is the last. Everything later on this goes. And now we have to not have any material, zero, not even the reality. And at that point, come to the platform of Bhakti. If you come to the platform of Bhakti, and then what the negative things have come out, then what is the positive thing? Anupurina Krishna. What is Krishna desire? First, Raksha they know. They don't know. Not that nowadays, because I don't know what is Soviet country, meaning whatever of the conveniences, we adopt that and do the minimum by going to principles of the so whatever we like, we all and we put it to the city. It's like somebody's house and yesterday, the first thing that happens someday, my wife said, the Prabhu and I will like this is what this is you know. Imagine you going to this and you don't like winter at all. And they want to serve him first thing, 5 kinds of winter service. Winter pakoda, winter in the dal. And then your first period of love. And that's it, when they call you, slowly finish. And they will ask you, how is it? Very nice. You have to say something good. Okay, happy. So the person is getting through. Similarly, our Krishna, other going mind to say, even he still said, it's a person. Krishna doesn't need that. What did he? There was no point. How do we know? The point is that so what do you do? Bhagavata. That entire world, so many people like that God Hari, that Krishna likes that. That's what we should offer meditation. Take aside of what he likes, what he wants. Then he's forced to take the seeking is there. The good thing is like that affection. That's what books say. Please, Prabhu, please take more, take more. And then So it is not only Acharyas, many Bhagavata are there, very different Vaishnava Sampradayas. That really show even Sundars in the pure devotion to Krishna and Vasudeva. And even in Madhurya, 5% Sri Vallabha Sampradaya, they happen to be the Sampradaya also. Like it is. Acharyas is that Srinath, what of the cave so it happened. Written by the 8 principal disciples of the Acharya in Braj Bhasha. Right from the morning, that is called Kaloka, breakfast, Mangal, Kaloka, Veru Kana, Market, Roti, Live. Nice. That is his breakfast. Then in Adhyalvina, so many, out of the 8 principles, Acharyas were also simultaneously present as Satcitananda and Krishna. Come to him. How much he loves somebody in the affection of a devotee, he can be present in more than one person. Like Lord Bhagavata is present in all ways. So some devotees may say that you are serving our head with 5 minutes. Because that was his initial sannyas. When he took sannyas for a senior daughter at Keshav, he initiated 2. One was the older person. And original romance, the right of starting with how to like somebody's name is Jagannatha, somebody's name is Radhanath, his name was Swami. That is why we should read first book, we should read this Bhagavata. But simultaneously, when I was in the United States about 27 years ago, 28 years ago, I had actually stopped work. Then because when I was in the government prior to that, so I had some good association in one sense because they are gentlemanly people. Muslim, they are very well placed in the government. They were actually commanders of the air force. Some of the other had business. They actually invited me. And we had some other discussions besides business. And this song was very nice. I think I was pure vegetarian because I followed the whole regulations. Principles was that but being in the world of something. So when first time we brought something, I didn't think they wanted, but then they kept inviting me on friends. We also played cricket. They had a opportunity. I liked them because they were very good people, generally good at it. They didn't have that knowledge. Very educated. They actually came to the United States to learn how to fly at 15 or 16. Like, those were the pilots and then the commander and some commanders. All of us are sitting and they are all in huge mansion. And actually they are from Pakistan. You not believe it. Because at that time the entire Air Force of the was so they hired those pilots and those commanders from Pakistan. Because the local army I was not in this part. Although I have one question of the party, most of the questions myself. There was no preaching. My grandmother, she was such a great Vaishnava soul. Bhagavata, which I could only realize in my maturity. If I may say so, whatever level of maturity I may have reached. So, they would ask me, my surname is Desai. They would say, Desai ji, with a lot of respect. Why are you making there so many bonds? And then, in our Islam, we don't have, so we are only one God. Only one. And you are so many. So in Islam, we don't have that. In that. So, what answer can I give? I had no answer at that time. So I gave some number of answer. It is like you respect, very simple at home. like grandmother and the influence of let's say you are bad smoking, you're not smoking, but you're drinking, you're not drinking from the book. So when you come to the temple, when you say, here is Krishna, here is Durga, some superior power, so they don't really inspire to the right. That is the understanding in my head. What to answer I didn't know, but this is what at that time I answered it. But personally, I would say. Then he said one thing, my answer, very interesting. Look, beside it, you agree that you all call him Bhagwan, we call him Allah. Do you agree that your Bhagwan is perfect? Also, no great. So then let me ask you, this is the big problem with these people. They are pirates. Then the mom is saying that, yeah, please don't feel bad. And because you are watching all these Hollywood movies, you are addicted to VHS tapes. So anytime the first they will release in Dubai, even Dubai Day. Some of the other, I don't know. So they learn all this, seeing that Spain, going to the temple and praying to the Fuji or Krishna or whoever. That's how it was. They wanted to clarify. We don't get the answer. He said, look, in Islam, we believe that God is perfect. Now you also believe that God. Then let me ask you, if Bhagavan is perfect in the temple, that marble painting that you have or in the house, somebody has made that drawing or that picture or that sculpture, sculpt that out. He said, yes. Now, do you agree that there will be somebody else who is better than that artist who has made this? I made the painting, Radha Krishna as an example. I said, yes. He said that right now. Do you think somebody is better than that? That somebody is better than that person? Somebody is better than that is they're not perfect. And even the best draw the artist is also. But if we understand that Allah is perfect, and you agree that God is Bhagavan is perfect, then how can imperfect people create the perfect image for the good? Just see, this is like amazing. No? Study the sentences. Just like goodness is putting that people I don't want to find all those on the blood of my enemy. I don't want to fight with my guru. All these women will become widows, etc. etc. Murders of the all those things are there. Somebody show what you do, right? If this question is asked us, what do we answer? So what I also asked, and I said the same thing. These are like representations of goodness. We want to very long and become color and change and back to go away over life. I'm satisfied. Believe it or not, whenever I went to any temple that time, I never know. All I saw was photo, paper, some painting, and I said, stop buying them completely. That thing was playing so bad. Mostly stopped going to them. But I was very grateful. My birthday, always on the phone we talk. So she said, today's your birthday. You have any number to this by? She said, yeah, 5 minutes, it's fun. Temple is very close to me. You should go. Okay, grandma, I'll go. So I told my mommy, then 12 o'clock, Rajgopal getting one, Jari was like, nobody. Just remembering my grandmother, I didn't even go down on my knees or hands. And that concept was never there. So the people who have no concept, they come and stand like this. most of somebody has some issues with that. Like the in front of Gandhi, they also think it's not so good. Some who are big business people, they come with their hands behind, as if they are in a museum. They see the they don't even have them. There was a book thing, and what attracted me most was one concise book. Sent one small book. Then I always like something. And contain literature or some books of it. I picked it up anyways, my day was finished. I went midday, go to work that day. Started the guide started. Read it in 3 hours, read it 3 times. 9 hours continuously. I said, what? This is it. So nicely. Everything is explained. Subject was also like that. So I never accepted anything. I said, this is it. Then I started going to the temple every Sunday. And then the rest is history. By the mercy of the Prabhu, sitting here. So what I'm trying to say is that God's books and mercy always. And it is up to us how to distribute them so that the devotees do not get coerced. When your friends they will come, give them your number. If you have any questions, tell them something. And if you don't mind, I can take your number. If they don't want to give no force, believe it or not, they will contact if they start reading. Then they invite them, and they need stuff. That's perfect. No medicine. That person will very nothing. And if it isn't, don't get attached. Even we see that there is so much attachment to the devotees and the groups that we lead. Why should we get attached? What is the principle of Bhagavad? How can we be leaders if we cannot even understand the fundamentals of Bhagavad? Karma yoga is just a simple stepping stone. Ultimate is bhakti. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, etc. Should found on the principle of bhakti. How can karma yoga be something and even convince? Customers Satcitananda, Prabhu, Vaishnava, is based on bhakti, not on duty as well. But even if we are not understood the basics karma yoga, how we can handle proper bhakti yoga? Then it is somewhere karma which the bhakti also we have not understood. We tried our best, and if that person pursuing times without fanaticism, then we should, as they say, if it is meant to be yours, if it flies away, it's meant to be yours, it will come back to you. And if it doesn't come back to you, it was never meant to be. So many people, so many initiatives, so many turn down, what can we do? Because we all have mind and independence. If we do not want to exercise in front of it, then and if we get attached to the people saying, our understanding is not good, and our bhakti will be good. Simply our goal should be Krishna Prabhu. If we कोई आशा छोड़ने कोई भरत में कम गया Adam may come there. You can add the joint at the end. And please have mercy on this Adam, on this fallen soul. I say to you, my dear student, this is understand Vaishnava guidance, how we can accomplish. Just like accomplish on this one, but then we can easily finish studying. Another example, whatever we do, God is. So that is the reason people trying to establish, which I'm sure it has to be. And if we stick to it, then definitely we receive. Receive only there. Then we go to the minister of so the milk pan is in your house. Somebody else can make 5 minutes or 5 minutes. Somebody else has a wedding. There with a big pot. 50 liters. So, according to our vessel, so if our vessel is huge and big, we have to become bigger receivers. Then we will see unlimited prescription. That is why the genetic system is but today, I think Satcitananda means that when we receive, when our hearts have been completely purified, then there's so transparent that come to the rays of the Nityam of the Kotiks and the Shushikala, gates and driven into that. Those Nityam rays can flow from our values and enter the plant. It's like the kind of a flower. The white lily that blossoms wonderfully in the moonlight. And that moonlight is the representation of the world. When it enters into pure the heart, the rays of the moonlight will wither and pass on. Knowledge, that's the knowledge of the mission. Thank you all very much. But I am here patiently. Some of you have stuck here. Then appreciate that. Thank you very much. Prabhu Ji, Ananda Gaudiya Vaishnava.